It happened. Zack Polanski, the new golden boy of politics, put a foot wrong, and now they're all coming for him. Even those who have become sort of like stands almost of Zack have become very offended. Why is this happening? So I think it was second or third time for Zack Polanski on BBC's Question Time, and he's been doing really well in these Question Time debate discussions, right? And um, there's this sort of the ego of politics is pretty big, and so anyone who's been taken down or been showed up. If Zach Polanski's been able to show you up on BBC Question Time, those clips are going to go far. And so they're just waiting. They're just waiting for him to put a foot wrong. Oh, look at him. He's so like I've said this before. You know how like there's that phrase in rap, shelling, right? British rap mainly. He's been shelling. And then he went and made a clumsy, crude comment about care workers. And do you, something along these lines, I'm sure you don't want to do that work. You don't want to wipe bums. And it went on. So there was context there. I mean, regardless of context, regardless of what was said before and after, I'm sure Zach himself has accepted that and owned up to the sort of clumsy and crude way of describing care work. And anyone who does care work who is a fan of Zach Polanski, who's supporting him, I'm sure, and they have voiced their sort of disappointment in that sort of crude summary or crude sort of summation of care work. Anyone who does care work, paid or unpaid, um, honestly, they are just angels, in my opinion, of course, because it's my voice and it's my mic. When people keep saying, to be honest, it's like, just say it, just say it. So, in my opinion, I mean, the work of care work, especially unpaid, because it's relentless and you don't get any respite. And you have to do everything. The emotional labor, the physical labor, the mental labor, all of it. And so, of course, those who actually do the job, those who actually do that kind of work, are offended. And of course you should be. It doesn't matter who the politician is. It doesn't matter whether they sort of represent your ideology or your party or whatever. Oh gosh, I said your party. But regardless of that, of course it was a bit crude. But I think what people sort of get carried away by is this sort of, I don't want to sound like Piers Morgan, this whole thing about, oh, everyone's offended. What I'm trying to say here is that there's times when you absolutely should hold even your leaders, like the ones that you support, to account. This is not one of those occasions where you need to sort of go really tough and hard and strict with Zach Polanski. Um, anyone who doesn't have firsthand experience of something and they're speaking about it secondhand, even though Zach Polanski's partner works in palliative care, even though Zach Polanski has experience or knowledge of care work, perhaps secondhand. If you're not in it, then you can make there's sort of a risk of making a mistake, of not being able to make an accurate, fair representation of the thing. So for instance, being a special needs, complex needs parent, unless you're in it, you don't know. The amount of sort of autism jokes, whatever I hear, being an adoptive parent, unless unless you're in it. So there's so many different sort of um roles and experiences in life that we all play and that we all have, that our leaders or our representatives won't know. They just won't know. And it's like this kind of grace is gone. This grace that you would give anybody is just gone because the takedowns must happen straight away, especially if it's somebody who's gaining in popularity. They're just waiting for you to put a foot wrong. And it might not even just be for strategic reasons, it may just be petty and it shows very poor character. So I think we should, or you should at least give yourself some credit to be a good judge of character. And I think when you sort of look at someone's actions and their performance on sort of the public stage thus far, you can conclude that Zach Polanski is a pretty decent dude and he's trying to do the right thing. And he said something clumsy and even crude and not quite reflective of care work, but not just care work. I'm so fed up of this word immigrant. Can we just call them expats? Expat communities. I had the conversation with somebody, with a friend today, who actually mentioned this. And I said, yes, I've been saying this for years. Isn't it interesting? You're an expat when you go overseas. Okay, anyway, so can we just call them all expats? It might not be entirely accurate, but yeah, expats doing care work. I understand why and in what sort of context this came up. And so I think that's when it gets quite loaded and it can get quite sort of hurtful because of the debate around immigration. Sorry, just had to say it. And then immigrants doing care work. Okay. So um, we understand all of that. And that sort of discussion and debate is already so charged. It is already so charged. And so it should be because you've got politicians and leaders who aren't showing any appreciation and are using it as a way to basically further their own political careers, their political interests. Because we know once in power, oh, the song changes. The tune changes. So the whole thing really just, when it's something just stinks bad, it's like it's just all stinky. It's not stank in a good way, like it's just stinky and it's petty and it's immature. And please, like, if this was something that was sort of going on within your team or within your household or within your classroom, at some point you would need to say, right, everybody, we need to draw a line and we need to move on because there are really serious things going on that we have to sort of focus on. But there's no, that kind of leadership isn't there because obviously everyone right now is super grabby for influence, super grabby for relevance, and they want to take the new popular kid down. They want to take him down because Green Party doing well. So it's kind of what this, for me, in my opinion, to be honest, what this does for me is it just confirms to me what an entire circus and joke this whole sort of political class media cycle is. Leaders will have our sort of feeds. I'm gesturing in a vertical manner, our vertical feeds, scrolling like just stupid news and coverage, takedowns, petty this, petty that. It's just rather than actually sort of showing proper leadership and just moving us on, just move us on. Can you imagine if, like, Nigel Farage said, moving on, let's talk about immigration, because I'm just so concerned about it. Let's just talk. Can you imagine? It wouldn't ever happen. It wouldn't ever happen. Can you imagine if Keir Starmer or somebody from the Labour Party said, "That's not what you meant. Can we just be cool? Can we be mature? Like, and let's have a conversation about care work. Why don't we have a carers month every year dedicated to those who do the kind of work which is usually quite well, it's unsung. So let's have a carers month annually, right? But maybe there is. My bad. Okay, maybe there is. So let me know. She googles. Let me know. So my thoughts today on this whole Zach Polanski thing. I'm not going to go and do what I normally do, which is use my ground news, look at different stories, because it's just I'm just fed up. Flip a table. I'm fed up Thank you to new subs. It's wonderful to have you here. And I'm Serena. I've been doing this channel for nearly 2 years. It was a little bit on and off recently. Come on now. Sorry, my bad. Thank you for those who've supported me here in the memberships on Patreon when I was super active around the 2024 US election time. That was fun times, like very long live streams almost daily. So I appreciate your support and for sticking around. But give me a little bit of credit and grace. 9 to 5, single parent life, and I'm doing my research for my MSc in systems thinking, right? And as you know, if you don't know, I've been in comms and media for more than 20 years. I'm in my 40s. Hello. And one thing that my brain can't get around is sort of how to do research at postgrad level, because I just want to provide answers rather than demonstrate. This is how you systematically go through, sort of like this is how you conduct research, and this is how knowledge is gathered, and this is how knowledge is constructed, and this is how you're going to basically contribute to the field. And it's going to be a tiny little sliver, maybe just as thin as this paper, within a whole world of knowledge. And you think what you're doing and spending all this time on, as a postgrad thing, is just going to be amazing, but no, it's really not. And so my research, my dissertation is in AI, the impact of algorithms on political opinion. And that's so broad. How broad is that? Okay, so I'm probably going to be focusing on YouTube, and I'm looking at sort of like ideation for digital political commentators and how the algorithm impacts it. And it's still very like, Serena, get more specific. And that's just the journey of doing a research proposal and looking at the research problem, all of that. I've just gone on a tangent because I've just had it. I've just had it. Just flipping my table, just had it. So it's been a bit of a weird one last few days, just trying to meet these deadlines. But I'm here. I'm here. I think we've had a week of videos and a long stream every day. So I really appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome, new subs. Let me know what you think just generally about the clouds, about seedlings, about weird tomatoes growing with shoots in them, just whatever pops up on your X feed. Let me know what has popped up on your X feed that has truly disturbed you, because X is just disturbing. Thank you. And I'll see you the next one.